सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद
विभागिने व्योम क्या हुआ स्वामी जी का
व्यासेन तां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तककेशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारत पंकजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। So, see, at the outside, I would like to say one thing is that when we are posting this Bhagavad Gita study course material, everyday study means some questions will definitely arise. And there and then we should have discussion over the questions. So then the whole subject matter gets very clear. You can go deeply into it. So for now, I think we should deal with the questions of whatever has been put up by Sharada ji. And so, okay, let us see. So you have shared the screenshot. I will go through that and then, we will, instead of giving a lecture, we will have a discussion on questions itself. Yeah. So when first she asked, when we say that one day we will become secure and happy, then does it mean there is a final day when we will never again need to pursue Artha and Kama? I think she's smiling. She already has the answer. It is never said in the Gita study or we will become secure and happy. In fact, the whole premise of Vedanta is you are already secure and happy, and that is the whole problem, the fundamental problem of seeing oneself as insecure and unhappy, in spite of whatever you are seeking in the world, this security and happiness, this pleasantness, this whatever you are seeking, the seeking you keep on seeking. That is the fundamental problem. The problem of seeking. You keep seeking security and happiness because of the ignorance that you are already secure and happy. So the shift in the Vedantic shift is, if I'm already secure and happy, then why I'm seeking? Because you don't know about it. This is the whole premise of Vedanta, wherein we don't say you will become. Your security and happiness, your beingness has to be seen. And for that seeing is all this methodology of Vedanta. Anybody wants to add on this? I would like to have everybody's thoughts also on this, so that everybody, whatever one has understood, can share on this platform. Because it's not me only, because you are equally studying the same books which I am studying. Right? Who will come? Anu?
Swamiji, should I?
Rajiv can come. Yeah.
Swamiji, the whole problem, as you rightly said, is because of feeling of inadequacy, thinking of yourself a limited, insecure, and unhappy person. Since you think yourself to be insecure and happy, you always seek security and happiness. And all you require is a cognitive shift from being unhappy and insecure to understanding that you are already there. You are happy and secure. And this is all Gita talks about. And there's no final date for anything. You can be secure and happy right now, right away. It's all a matter of getting that knowledge through the proper methodology that is unfounded in Gita home study course.
So
Anybody
I understand where Sharda's query is coming from, Swamiji, because the way spirituality is approached currently, and through all the systems, other than Vedanta, if you look at yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Tantra, it's all about becoming something. It's all about getting to somewhere. So therefore, and also this entire moral values that are thrust on us since childhood is about becoming better, becoming, और इंटेलिजेंट बनना है और अच्छा बनना है और चैरिटेबल बनना है, कि हम ऑलरेडी हैं, जो हो सकते हैं वो ऑलरेडी हैं, उसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता, क्योंकि आइडेंटिफिकेशन ये बॉडी माइंड से इतनी स्ट्रांग है कि बॉडी को बेटर, माइंड को बेटर करने में ही लगे रहते हैं. तो हम, बिकॉज ये जो कॉग्निटिव शिफ्ट की बात करें राजीव जी, बस वो यही शिफ्ट है कि बॉडी माइंड कॉम्प्लेक्स से शिफ्ट करनी है आइडेंटिटी टू व्हाट इज, उसमें कुछ बनना बाकी नहीं रहता, उसमें ऑलरेडी हैं. मुझे याद है हम लोग स्वामी जी कहाँ गए थे, जहां हमने श्री औरबिंदो मदर के बहुत सारे पोस्टर्स देखे थे और एक डायग्राम बना हुआ था इंटीग्रल योगा की तरह, किस तरह बाकी पाथ से ऐसे गोल गोल घूम के जाते हैं, इंटीग्रल योगा से सीधे यहाँ से यहाँ तक चले जाते हैं. आप और मैं इकट्ठे थे मुझे याद है, और आपने मुझे कहा था कि ये एसेंशियल डिफरेंस है कि दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट बिकमिंग सुपरह्यूमन, बट हमारी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि हम ऑलरेडी हैं. पर उस वक्त मुझे I remember I thought a great deal about it after that discussion. Then I realized that everybody is talking about only improving of the body and the mind. Therefore, this entire thing of becoming happens, and therefore you keep thinking, you get destination oriented कि हम spirituality pursue कर रहे हैं तो हम कुछ हो जाएंगे, कुछ बन जाएंगे.
Yeah. So the whole crux of, anybody wants to say anything, then I will summarize.
Yeah,
Anybody
may I
else?
say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So while I understand at the cognitive level, ignorance about security, happiness will only make me go after it. There's a vacuum that I'm trying to fill in. All that is okay at the rational level, but I will have desires, right? I have desires. So then I will go out and fulfill them for my happiness. If I don't do it, then it will lead to frustration.
Yes, so you are right there. See, this basic difference is there are two kinds of problems. One is fundamental problem. Fundamental problem, others are topical problems. So fundamental problem is I want, I want, I want. The wanting person ever remains wanting. You know, the sense of lack which is centered on me, the I. If whether you put all the pluses of the world for security and happiness, you are not going to change the basic premise of the fundamental me is I am insecure and unhappy. That is how you see yourself. What is the reason how you see? That is the ignorance. That and also
क्या हुआ? स्वामी जी,
Swamiji is frozen.
हाँ, उनका कनेक्शन खराब होगा.
कनेक्शन तो मेरा वाईफाई पे हूं मैं.
कई बार
हेलो,
होता है. हाँ ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. अब आप
आ गया, मैं वापस आ गया.
हाँ जी, आप आ गए वापस जी.
ओके, सो दिस प्रॉब्लम, सो स्क्रीन तब ले गए शॉर्ट जब हम पढ़ेंगे वापस. ये ले लें क्या उसको या नहीं? ठीक है, अभी आ गया. ठीक है, let the screen be. So what I'm trying to say, Ranjani, this is the problem. The I want, I want, I want. Swamiji used to give an example I use in my classes. Like Sitar Vadan is going on and Tanpura is the basic Shruti, which is after the music, you know, you use that basic Shruti. So like I want is the basic Shruti. And sitar raga is up and down, it keeps on going up or down. So this or that keeps changing, but even in spite of this and that, whatever you seek, whatever you become, whatever you achieve, you know, in the rat race, the winning rat still remains the rat. You see? So this insecurity, this unhappiness, which is centered on the self, how are you going to change it? By anything doing in the world. So that the problem of seeking is in the form of doing. And here the Vedanta says, actually it is, you cannot get this adequacy, this security in terms of doing, because it is in terms of knowing yourself, your true nature. So that is why the desires will be there at the Artha Kama level. You can still pursue it. We are not asking you to stop desiring, to stop, but what is the problem? Where is the problem? And what is the solution? The nature of the problem will determine the nature of the solution. If the nature of the problem is in terms of doing something like topical problems, if you are hungry, you need food, you have to cook, all that, those things. Yeah, you want to say something? Yes. You want to say something, Ranjit?
No, I'm understanding it, Swamiji. You continue.
Swamiji, should I say something?
Yes, please, you can join in any time.
Yeah, Swamiji, basically, security and happiness is needed because you feel that you're insecure and unhappy, and you desire and seek happiness. You think that you're in a state of being unhappy, and over a time, this desiring will lead you to understand that desiring more will not lead to happiness, or even fulfilling the desires also is not going to give you happiness, because it follows a process of decremental returns. Every desire fulfillment will not lead to the same degree of happiness in the future, and this becomes the basis of seeking moksha or freedom from desires. So ultimately, one day, or for a contemplative person, once he or she sees that desiring is not leading to anything, a fulfillment of desires is also leaving the same void that I wanted to fulfill by desiring, then he or she will resort to spirituality or understanding the self. So this is the beginning of the seeking for knowledge.
Definitely, discerning the problem as such is the beginning of the spiritual journey. The problem itself is not understood. That is why I asked everybody to study this Bhagavad Gita Home Study Introduction, which really thoroughly introduces the nature of the problem and the nature of the solution. Anybody else on this problem, or anybody wants to add something? Then we go to the next question.
Swamiji, I just wanted to get a practical understanding of the whole situation. It is not like one day you suddenly stop desiring. you don't suddenly gain knowledge and then never go back to being a pursuer of artha and kama.
Nobody, see, you
The
somewhere you are
mumukshu-
stuck down the line,
No,
Sharda.
no, Swamiji, I'm not stuck. I'm just asking this feeling of adequacy that comes. You realize that it is your own knowledge and your own self which creates the adequacy within you.
No, nothing comes or goes. Still, I'm saying adequacy does
That
not
is
come.
what, sir. So nothing goes. New things
Nothing
come.
comes or goes. There is no coming, there is no going. You see the real self in terms of it is already that what you are seeing. It is just because of ignorance. Like, Swamiji used to give example that this specs I
Classes,
use,
yes.
na? Yeah, you in my classes,
Yes.
that you are just searching for your glasses. You see? So how you will come aware that they're already there?
Basically, you create your pursuit of artha and kama becomes a dispassionate pursuit. Once you acquire or once you see that you are basically a mumukshu. Once you
Artha and kama pursuits will remain, but the
Yes,
problem is
but
through
dispassionately.
artha and kama, you are seeking moksha.
True.
Through artha and kama, you are
Your
seeking
ultimate
security.
seeking is for
Yes,
liberation.
yes, that is the problem.
So,
Yes,
Shyam,
any-
should I add something?
Yes, please.
See, even if you become knowledgeable, you will have some degree of desires which may be harmless. Like they used to say, Vivekananda still loved his ice creams. So someone say you know everything, but still you want ice creams and try different types of ice creams. So this is a harmless desire. So on the surface of a jnani also there will be desires. Well, they'll be always be dharma anurupen. They'll not be against the dharma.
Exactly. That's precisely what I was saying, that the dispassionate requirement of certain
One-
pleasures will remain.
I
Yes.
think
See,
there,
pleasures.
the looking at a jnani as an individual and then judging him for having desires is basically an ajnani's job.
Absolutely.
So the jnani's body is doing what it is meant to do. The fact that we think that the body is the jnani is the misconception we have.
Yes. Now the point here Sharda is raising is that desiring, whether the desiring continues or what kind of a desires a jnani has and what kind of a desire structure one has.
The jnani
So
does
I
not
will read
have
out.
desires.
I will read out from Bhagavad Gita Home Study, introduction, page number 17 and 18. Once we say freedom, the question is freedom from what? The answer is simply freedom from something I do not want. Freedom from something I do not want. No one wants freedom from what he or she wants. We are not asking for freedom from what I want.
Exactly.
Therefore, no one wants freedom from artha and kama. One wants artha, kama, and little bit of dharma plus moksha. So moksha is not freedom from artha or kama. What artha provides, moksha cannot provide. But what moksha provides cannot be provided by artha. Artha, kama, and dharma totally all combined. It cannot be provided. A person who has moksha also has the freedom to pursue the other three human ends, namely artha, kama, and dharma, if he or she chooses so. This is real freedom and not freedom from these pursuits. So what we are trying to say, see, purushartha means what? Purushaihi arthyate iti purushartha, that which is desired by human beings. So all these four purusharthas have been enumerated by the Vedas. And these first three come into the category of prayas. And the last one is in the category of shreyas. Shreyas is moksha. Prayas is that which is priya to you.
But
So therefore, there is this is sadhya vastu. Through sadhya vastu, something the prayas is achieved by karma. But moksha is siddha vastu. It is gaining of something already gained. It is already there. You don't have to gain it through karma. And therefore, it is a matter of knowing. It is not a matter of doing. You see, this is the fundamental difference. So we go to the next question now. Why does Swamiji repeatedly say that one seek moksha even while simultaneously seeking dharma, artha or kama? If one is already clear that security and pleasure come through moksha,
Similar to the earlier question, Swamiji.
why then do they still pursue artha and kama? So I've already answered this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's already answered.
This has already been discussed. It is not that we don't have to pursue artha and kama. Again, this is a topical problems. For topical problems, topical solutions have to be sought after. Karma. So whatever, if you are hungry, you have to cook food and eat. Topically speaking. Fundamentally speaking, when there is a problem of I want, I lack, the sense of lack which is centered on me, whatever you do in the world, it's the sense of lack is not. This Tanpura, I want, this drone keeps on.
Stuck again.
Hello.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Swamiji, we can't hear you.
Anu, थोड़ी सी Hindi भी they want, ना? I think Shobha is requesting.
No, but her mother-in-law is now not attending.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
So we will have these sessions in English only, I feel. But sometimes somebody came, you please tell me, I will try to do that. Right? So this is understood. Na? This is the fundamental problem. When you are not able to discern the nature of the problem, then only you will keep seeking in terms of doing in the rat race of the world. Okay? So third question. Anybody wants to say anything on this? We have already discussed though. Should we go ahead? Is it essential to pursue dharma and indulge in prayer, acts of charity, etc.? Is that a precursor finally becoming a mumukshu? See, mumukshu means, we have said already, moktum ichha iti mumuksha, and the one who desires moksha is mumukshu. Mumukshu is one, he is desiring this basic understanding of oneself being free, freedom. So, but what you are trying to do now, freedom you are trying to gain through securities. So even that is, you are seeking freedom only. Freedom from insecurity. In the pursuit of kama, freedom from dukkha, unpleasantness. In the pursuit of dharma, freedom from papa. Freedom you are seeking throughout. But mumukshu, to become a mumukshu, it is freedom as such that you are already free. For this precursor, when we say dharma, dharma is really the maturity gained by all what these prayers and rituals and all that. Antakaran Shuddhi Vedanta says. Unless and until you gain the maturity in terms of Chitta Shuddhi, you know, less conflicts in the mind, less agitations. When you follow dharma, dharma means does not mean dharma means harmony with Ishvara. What is dharma? So I have explained in my classes, dharma is in harmony with Ishvara. That is dharma. Once Ishvara is nothing but dharma. What you are supposed to do, what you are not supposed to do, if you are following all those norms, if you are following your conscience, in short, that is dharma. All the prayer, all the acts of charities, they are also part of dharma. But essentially, dharma is maturity of the mind. In that maturity, in that being in harmony with Ishvara, you are doing what is to be done, and therefore there is no conflicts in the mind. With that kind of a mind, you will be able to have a path to follow, a path, very clear path in front of you to follow, to understand, to contemplate how I am already that how I am already secure and happy. Anybody wants to add? Lanu, Rajiv?
Swamiji, you said most of the things, Swamiji.
Hmm.
Actually, what you require is knowledge, and that will come through appropriation of Chitta Shuddhi. So unless Chitta Shuddhi is done, Gyan cannot be gained, or knowledge cannot be understood. So for that, you have to follow a course of dharma only, because as you said, that there will be less conflicts and mind will become more stable, available to you for contemplation. Only a steady mind can learn. Unsteady mind cannot learn. And following a dharmic path in seeking artha and kama will keep your mind, give your mind that stability that, as you said, antakarna shuddhi or chit shuddhi. So all karma is basically, parakaram yogi is meant for creating antakarna shuddhi or chit shuddhi in preparation for getting jnana.
Yes. Anybody else wants to add or say something? Okay, in the next few questions, same thing will be said. So, what if I still find pleasure in music and food and security in relationships and love? Will I fail as a mumukshu? See, there are two kinds of desires. One are binding desires, one are non-binding desires. See, wherever the vasana is strengthened in the mind and you really become totally agitated when it is not fulfilled, that kind of a desire is a binding desire. Something like desire to play music, something desire. Food is a very essential commodity and you have to enjoy food. So it is not that when you crave for a certain kind of a food and you are not happy and you are agitated, then it may become a binding desire. But simply relishing food, that is not a problem. Enjoying music, that is not a problem. Krishna used to play flute. All these are non-binding desires in the category of non-binding desires. The desires which make your vasanas grow and they make you restless. That is whereas your bondage is increases with binding desires. This much by saying, I would like people to add on to whatever I'm saying. Yes, Rajiv.
Swamiji, there's a story. I think it'll be very easy to understand. मैं
Yes,
हिंदी में बताऊंगा. तो
चाहिए.
एक स्वामी जी थे जिनके बहुत सारे शिष्य थे. तो एक बार स्वामी जी ने कहा कि किसी ने पूछा कि आपको ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ? तो स्वामी जी ने कहा मुझे नहीं हुआ. तो सारे शिष्य उनको छोड़ के चले गए ये कह के कि जब इनको खुद से ज्ञान नहीं है तो हमें क्या ज्ञान देंगे. तो काफी सालों के बाद ये किसी को पता लगा कि स्वामी जी को ज्ञान मिल गया. तो उनका शिष्य एक बारी उनको घूमते घामते उनके पास आया वहां आश्रम में. तो स्वामी जी अकेले बैठे थे. तो बोले कि स्वामी जी से पूछा कि आपको ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ? तो बोले कि चलो जंगल चलते हैं, लकड़ी इकट्ठी करके लाते हैं, खाने का समय हो गया. तो वो आके खाना बनाने लग गए और खाना खाया. शिष्य जो है बार बार यही प्रश्न पूछ रहा था कि आपको ज्ञान सिद्ध हुआ, ब्रह्म विद्या प्राप्त हुई? तो वो आगे से हंस देते थे. तो जब खाना खाने के बाद वो जाने लगा तो शिष्य ने पूछा कि भाई आपने बताया नहीं मुझे. तो बोले कि तुम्हें क्या लगता है? तो बोलने लगे कि आप ज्यादा पीसफुल, ब्लिसफुल और हैप्पी दिखते हैं एंड यू एंजॉय एवरी एक्टिविटी दैट यू डू. ही सेड वो सब ठीक है लेकिन मेरा खाना भगवान थोड़ी बनाएगा. जो कर्म मुझे करना है वो तो करना ही होगा. तो जो भी आपके नित्य कर्म है वो तो आप ही करेंगे. ज्ञान या मोक्ष प्राप्त करने से ये तो कभी नहीं हो सकता कि कोई आपका काम कोई और करने लगेगा. तो जो भी जैसे आपने कहा कि नॉन बाइंडिंग डिजायर है वो वैसे की वैसी ही रहेंगी और you will enjoy each and every moment of your life without being attached to it or getting upset by not having fulfilled them. That's what I understood.
So basically it is not the desire that is binding or not binding, it is the attitude, and that attitude is coming from the understanding of who one really is. As long as the belief is in being not being beyond being the body mind, one keeps getting agitated. बाद में जो होता है शरीर के साथ, मन के साथ, वो हो रहा है. मतलब मन, in fact I used to often think the mind should always be peaceful, but the mind is also not me, no. उसके भी peaceful होने की शर्त रखने की क्या जरूरत है? The moment you go in the acceptance of that, अपने आप peaceful हो जाता है mind भी.
हाँ, उसमें अनुजी मैं ये जोड़ूंगा कि mind is just a reflection of the self. Mind is not peaceful or agitated. The person is agitated and unpeaceful. Mind just reflects the state that you are in, and that state is Atman. Once you reach the state of Atman or Brahman, then mind reflects that peace and bliss only. It doesn't get agitated.
Point is,
yeah.
peace है. अब वो पर्सन माइंड का रिफ्लेक्शन है या माइंड पर्सन का रिफ्लेक्शन है, उसके ऊपर हो सकती है डिबेट, को पॉइंट नहीं है, इट डजंट गेट एनीबडी एनीवेयर. सो आई एम जस्ट सेइंग एसेंशियली द एटीट्यूड, एंड वो एटीट्यूड अंदर इम्बाइब होते होते डीप होता जाता है बाय बीइंग माइंडफुल एंड वॉचफुल ऑल द टाइम. तो इसीलिए जो चैरिटीज करना और अंतःकरण शुद्धि की जो बात हो रही है, वो अंतःकरण शुद्धि इसीलिए होती है कि एक डिस्टेंस आने लग जाता है इन द डूअरशिप वाली फीलिंग और द एक्ट इटसेल्फ, कि वो डूअरशिप वाली फीलिंग धीरे धीरे खत्म होने है, बिकॉज ऑब्जर्व करने लगता है इंसान के ये तो हो रहा है, ये मैं ऐसे करूं या ऐसे करूं, ये हो रहा है. So the reason I'm trying to spend a little time here is what happens is if we start identifying too much that this is desirable, these desires are non-binding, these are binding, तो एक और जजमेंट अगर उसमें आ जाती है तो अंदर का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बढ़ जाता है. जब मन में इच्छा जागृत होगी, उसको जज करने में बैठ जाएंगे कि ये बाइंडिंग है कि नॉन बाइंडिंग है, और वो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करता है. इसीलिए
I don't think, Anu, sorry to butt in, but I don't think when you reach that stage of understanding yourself, you will no longer need to sit in judgment of every desire of yours. Automatically, you will feel those desires dispassionately.
One who has reached that has no need for anything.
Haan.
The entire discussions that happen are to support the ones who haven't reached that and how to get there.
No, that's true. We are not talking of any one person. We are talking of every person actually. But if you reach that stage where you have kind of understood moksha and you've kind of known yourself, at that stage, you no longer need to label any desire, because you will just go through it in the dispassionate manner, whatever
Yes.
it is.
That's
And
what I was saying.
not having it is not going to cause you any kind of agitation or feeling of lack. That lacking wali jo feeling hai, wo nahi aayegi. I presume I have understood it in that manner.
Yeah, Anuji actually meant to say staying in a drishta bhav. Once you are in a witness mode, nothing good or bad is there. You just a witness.
Exactly. वो नहीं है, पर उससे पहले अगर हम लोग बहुत ज्यादा मॉरल इंजंक्शन अगर अपने ऊपर लगा देते हैं तो उस स्टेट में पहुंचना और मुश्किल हो जाता है कि उस चीज के बारे में फिर एजिटेट हो जाते हैं. इसीलिए मैं बोली मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन जस्ट सेइंग कि कौन सी डिजायर बाइंडिंग है, कौन सी नॉन बाइंडिंग है. अगर एटीट्यूड को चेंज करते जाएं हर चीज में, उसमें शिफ्ट लाते जाएं, तो उस स्टेट पे पहुंचना ज्यादा आसान हो जाता है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स कम हो जाते हैं.
Isn't it true though that any desire, if it's creating a mental agitation in us, it is binding? And
Exactly. So the moment conflict comes, so binding वैसे ही हो गया.
that's what. So
that is what I was saying. You please complete, Ranjini. Yes.
no, so then there's no question of mental confusion to decide which is binding, not binding. Once the agitation starts, it's
Yes,
already
so the
binding.
attitude is the important
So
thing.
anything when agitation starts means these are the desires. One sadhaka will always be alert and aware of what is he's going through, and that is what we are trying to assess and ascertain that it is definitely ultimately to gain the right attitude. But the kind of things one has to pursue and follow, that also one has to be aware and alert, because marga is very clear in front of you that this is what I want. The clarity of purpose of life is already there. This is really I want.
So that means unfulfilled desires make you agitated, basically. So the unfulfilled desires make you agitated.
Definitely.
Think of them too much, and then those are not fulfilled. Then only you become agitated. Otherwise, there is no agitation at all.
Definitely. Therefore, one has to be
All
aware
that in theory, but
actually, the very sense of feeling fulfilled by a desire, that is what will go. You will no longer be fulfilled by one desire. The fulfillment will come from within through your understanding of yourself.
Yeah, that understanding.
So then there is no question of ये desire मिला नहीं मिला या ना मिला, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता फिर.
वो अपने अंदर जब है तो मूंग की दाल रोटी भी स्वाद है, और नहीं है तो कैफे डीवा में जाके भी खा लो तसल्ली नहीं होती.
Actually, that's what is called contentment. Na? Contentment is being happy with whatever you have in whatever situation you are. So this is what is contentment. Once you have contentment, you don't desire more.
Actually, this takes us to even more important things, like even dealing with death of a loved one. Because unless and until we reach this stage, we will never be able to even appreciate that death is also not something to be, to break oneself over, or any happiness is also not something to rejoice and go crazy over. Everything is dispassionate.
But if there is disturbance, all this is perfect in theory, very nice. But
Watch.
there is like a binding desire, and you have to go through the disturbance then.
So watch who is getting disturbed, Ranjan.
Yeah, even I was about to say
that is the ultimate answer, because that is where it
I was about to say this thing only. Watch who is getting it.
उसको देखना पड़ेगा. उससे हर चीज वहीं लेके आएगी.
साथ में अनुजी सब कुछ शनै शनै होगा ना, धीरे धीरे सब होगा.
It's one step at a time. It's not destination oriented. कहीं पहुंचने वाली बात नहीं है. अगला एक कदम के बाद अगला कदम उठाना पड़ता है. So whatever, अगर life hacks चाहिए तो उसमें whatever takes us to greater sense of peace, just try and include more and more of that, which is where the entire prayers and charity and all of that becomes useful.
So dharma seems far more directly connected, as dharma is essential for wanting or seeking moksha. Without dharma, moksha cannot be desired. So you have made a statement, Sharda, in this. This is not a question.
Swamiji, I just wanted you to give your opinion on this. Is dharma in any way superior to artha and kama?
There is no superior or inferior. As we said, artha is seeking of security, which is very much needed in life. Seeking of pleasures, without pleasures, a man cannot hope to live in the world. And therefore, dharma is a pursuit which is there for maturity of the mind to really gain. And artha and kama to be pursued in terms of harmony with Ishvara, and therefore dharma becomes all important. That is why dharma, we say, the first purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So therefore, dharma supersedes artha, kama, because dharma, under dharma, artha, kama is pursued. Because artha, kama has to be pursued in harmony with Ishvara. Not as you wish, So anything you desire, anything, universal values have to be followed. So therefore, this statement is okay. Dharma seems far more directly connected. Definitely, dharma is in need. That dharma really one has that antakaran shuddhi has happened. That maturity has happened. And we are talking of a person here. So we should not mix up jnani and agyani. So whenever the path is there, so we are taking a seeker, a sadhaka in here who has a mind, and that mind has to be trained, and that mind has to gain that aspects of chitta shuddhi and through dharma. Anybody wants to say anything?
Swamiji, kama is also needed because for a person who is on the path, it gives him assurance or a hope that things will change later, and he may change his ways, that he may gain knowledge later. A person who becomes desperate or frustrated because he has no pleasure may do something very, 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 very bad. I mean, like committing suicide or something. So kama, dharma and rupena kama is as important till you reach there. Because these small pleasures will help you to stay on the goal and not get frustrated with lack of progress.
Yes. Anu?
Basically, अर्थ और काम अगर बिना धर्म के होगा तो फिर सोसाइटी कैसे रहेगी? इसीलिए धर्म is the umbrella.
Yes.
Because otherwise, then if there was no understand, Sharda, you were saying something? You have to unmute yourself.
After you finish, Anu, you finish.
No, but that is all. But this was my understanding.
No, I just,
because artha and kama without dharma ka pursuit, तो फिर artha kama का फिर वो human life की बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं हम ना फिर.
no, some of these questions I did put in only so that we could have a discussion on dharma. Swamiji, I just have one question, which I think I understand as my knowledge is becoming stronger, but I want it to be spread in general, because dharma is often confused with your social responsibilities. If you are a wife of so and so, you must be loyal to that so and so regardless. He is your husband. Your dharma is to be obedient to him. Your dharma is to obey your parents. Your dharma is to, where does your dharma, when it clashes with what is actually your understanding of dharma? For example, a woman who's living in an oppressive marriage, or a child who is being exploited, whatever. I mean, I'm just talking of certain extreme conditions which society definitely has, and very often ये social धर्मों को हम हमारे religious धर्म को भी मानकर बहुत लोगों को हम unhappy भी छोड़ देते हैं, और responsibilities में बांधे हुए भी रख देते हैं, unhappy छोड़ते हैं, and we are unable to really pursue dharma in the real kind. So is that as a student we are forced कि तुमको marks लाने ही हैं, तुमको नौकरी करनी ही है. I mean, it's in every person is given so many social dharmas as they are put, which could clash with what is real dharma. So how does one understand the difference
between roles and individual? Swami ji, वो आप बनाते ना गोले.
I was just thinking to tell the same thing which Anu has said, that in my classes I always
yes, I know that we've had this discussion and the golas, but I want you to repeat it here.
Okay. So body mind sense complex, just take body mind sense complex as one circle. Family, concentric circles, family is the next circle. Society, the bigger circle, third. Then state, then country, then globe, then universe, then total, multiverse, that is Ishvara. So individual to Ishvara, at every level, the individual is identified at every level. First and basic primary relationship of the body-mind sense complex is with Ishvara, the total. Without the ocean, the wave cannot be. So therefore, without the ocean, the wave cannot be. So this is my basic primary relationship with Ishvara, that is of a devotee. So with this, at every level, I have an identity which I am creating. In the family, I have an identity, maybe of a wife as you are, or maybe as a son or daughter, whatever. Society, I am a job. You are an officer. Anu is a counselor. Shobha is a doctor. All these people are following certain duties in society and the roles which are there. State, country, Raja was there, Raja Ram. He for the country, he gave up his wife Sita, the role of a husband, because when the two were in conflict, the higher circle is dharma, because you have to be in harmony with Ishvara. So the higher the circle, so therefore dharmas you have to, therefore the clarity of purpose is there. So at every level in Karma Yoga, in Yoga Shastra, in Karma Yoga, you have to identify which role is important at a given point of time. Remaining as a devotee, once you assess that without you overgoing, coming out of the conflict, and you are able to pursue methodically, and you are able to really listen to your conscience and do it. Like Bhagat Singh, he was engaged, and for the country's sake, he says he just went that way. So people sacrifice, but you have to make choices, and choices have to be made in terms of dharma. Dharma is the point. Dharma means first and primary is Atma Dharma. You have to seek yourself. For seeking yourself, all the other in relationships, in the playing all the roles, you have to play roles judiciously without any conflict, so that you have antakarna shuddhi. You don't have agitations in the mind. So at the same time, what role binds you? You have to do it. Then you keep doing it. You are bound to that role till your mind says that. And as your mind grows out of it, you just do it without even, there's an attitude behind the role. You can do it, still not being attached to it. You can still do it, or you can give it up also once you grow out of the role. So it depends which state of mind you are in. And that is what dharma is. That is why dharma is in harmony with these circles. And therefore, you don't have this is bigger duty, that is smaller. No. If you are a devotee, so I always have given an example in my classes that a 16-year-old girl who has just got engaged, and she's doing everything, all the roles in the family, whatever is she's supposed to do, but all the time she's thinking of her fiancé. Her mind is attuned to her would-be husband, thinking all the time about him. But at the same time, she is not giving up what is to be done. A scientist, he is doing research. All the time he's driving, eating, he's thinking of his research. All the roles. So identity, which role becomes important, that you follow. Like Shobha is a doctor, so she will go to the clinic and all the patients. So that time her mind is there. So which identity becomes main. At the same time, when you do this not as an identity, you make devotee as your main identity, your relationship with Ishvara, then all other, you as a devotee doctor, you will do the role. First devotee, then doctor. First devotee, then king. First devotee, then husband. First devotee, then wife. Because wife's role you are doing towards the husband as a devotee, towards your children as a devotee, not only as a mother. Mother is secondary, devotee is first. Once you get that knack of playing these roles and this attitude surfaces, you have won the battle. Understood?
Yeah, one time Anu had mentioned about dharma, that it involves do unto others what you want others to do unto you. That is, you will not do something to others which you yourself will not want them to do to you. Did I make any sense?
हाँ स्वामी जी, जब मॉरल्स की बात होती है ना, जब आपने एग्जाम्पल बताया था वो कि इवन इफ यू रिमेम्बर, जब हमारा धर्म के ऊपर डिस्कशन हो रहा था, तो इवन अ रॉबर डज नॉट वांट दैट समबडी शुड स्टील फ्रॉम हिम, देयरफॉर टू स्टील इज नॉट राइट. जो चोरी करता है वो भी नहीं चाहता कि उससे कोई चोरी करे.
So universal values, personal values में clash है. Personal values में you have pressure of raga dvesha, therefore stealing becomes necessary. But as she said that even the robber does not like that his thing has to be stolen. So therefore the value of stealing is there, non-stealing. Value of non-stealing is there even for the robber. But he compromises with that value. That compromise with your conscience, what your inner being is saying, your conscience, that is the problem. So the real education, real learning is in unison, in harmony with what your inner being is saying. Anybody wants to say on this topic anything? Rajiv, you want to say something?
Swamiji, Ms. Sharda's question was that if the relationship is not equal and there is some abuse in a relationship and you are expected to follow the dharma of that relationship, how is it possible to continue that way? Being abused also and you keep following your side of the dharma when it has to be interacting and it has to follow to both sides.
Then you have to come out of it. You have to draw your boundaries.
Yeah.
Everybody has to draw one's boundaries. Yes.
Yeah, actually, this is what she wanted to hear, because मोक्ष के मार्ग पे हम सब अलग-अलग हैं, अकेले हैं. There's no one walking alongside you. Anything that disturbs your mind and causes you agitation in your अंतःकरण, that has to be dropped, because आपका ultimate aim तो मोक्ष है, उसमें बाकी कोई लोग मैटर करते नहीं.
मोक्ष का मार्ग नहीं भी हो तो भी आई रिमेम्बर अपना जो self belief है उसमें भी कई बार conflict आ जाता है. I mean, I know from my personal experience that when my husband for the first time asked for a divorce, and he did not, and before he asked for divorce, we went through a lot of unpleasant circumstances in which my understanding of dharma as a wife was that no matter what, I should support him, and no matter what, I should listen to him. But then I realized that the conflict was happening as to the role model I was setting for my sons. And I was like, if I continue to take this behavior and my children are watching me tolerate this behavior, I have 2 sons, they will one day treat women exactly like this, thinking that it's all right, that women can be treated this way because their mother used to take this shit. And they will met it out to their spouses saying, "Arey, hamari maa to sehti thi, tum kyun nahi sehti ho?" And that is where the conflict between my role as a wife, my conflict in my understanding of my role as a wife, and my role as a mother came, and that is when I had to make a choice. So it isn't even as if only if you're a mumukshu this is important. Just to seek, I mean, to live day to day, there are these conflicts that will happen, which we have to resolve first in our inner space, and then the action happens.
Meaning thereby that a behavior should be socially acceptable as well. Even if it's not at the level of spirituality, it should be at the level of material life also. It should be mutually acceptable and respectable. Because every person...
acceptable का तो मुझे नहीं पता है. It is not about socially acceptable or not. I'm saying that is taking another layer to it, because for a lot of people, divorce is not socially acceptable. And it is their self-belief. So I'm saying, जहाँ self-belief में भी तो conflict आ जाता है, वहाँ पे मेरा कौन सा role ज़्यादा important है मेरे अपने लिए, उस basis पे इंसान decisions लेता है ना.
Ultimately, I would say, like summarizing this discussion, the clarity of purpose of life, what is the real aim, ultimate end, that has to be kept in mind to pursue all the other roles. And that time your choices, making your choices should depend on that, really speaking. And also your own agitation by following your own kind of a, samskaras, your own kind of a setup in the mind, that by following this, you will be at ease. You will be in less agitation. Then you do that, and therefore you are not in conflict.
Sometimes staying on the dharma and not going for a divorce, that may be more difficult, because you're in that challenge at a constant day-to-day environment, and yet you retain your dharmic, whatever your belief is, and maintain a relationship, because you feel that you also realize that you don't need to pass judgment on anyone else.
Yes. So next question. Where were we? Yeah, this is very important. About pravritti and nivritti marga. The simple...
Sorry.
What you have done? I was reading.
Sorry.
Yeah. About pravritti and nivritti marga. The simple understanding is pravritti is the path of householder and nivritti that of the sannyasi. But in his explanation on Vivek Chudamani, Swamiji has said that for a jnani, a knower, there is only one marga, nivritti. So does that imply that for a householder to eventually become a knower, he has to give up samsara and his responsibilities, or only start after he has completed his worldly responsibilities? Is that why the last ashram of life is sannyasa? So I have to throw this light on this pravritti marga and nivritti marga a little bit to begin with. So there are two Vedikas margas are pravritti marga, nivritti marga. Definitely pravritti marga is for householders and nivritti marga is for sannyasis, as you have laid down. It is correct. So pravritti is the karma yoga marga, really speaking. Pravritti marga, two are there, karmi or karma yogi. Once you really have the clarity of purpose of life, once you have ascertained that what you are seeking is yourself, once you have understood that moksha is the purushartha, the real end, and in all the ends you are seeking is moksha, then pravritti marga becomes the karma yoga marga. And nivritti is the sannyasa marga. So in both the margas, this, what you said, that Swamiji said that Jnani and knower, there is only one marga. See, once pravritti marga, you are basically vyavasaya, with the vyavasayatmika buddhi. Vyavasayatmika buddhi means very, very clear clarity of purpose, that you are seeking moksha, that you are seeking yourself. That is there. Then all the karma phalas and everything you will do tyaga, because that does not become important. Importance is your marga. Your marga is where you have to reach. So in pravritti marga, in karma yoga, karma phala tyaga is there. So giving up is there. So nivritti, that is why it is called, also nivritti is there in that too. Once you are pursuing moksha through pravritti marga, moksha is pursued, therefore nivritti in the terms of tyaga is there, in the terms of karma phala. And in nivritti for the sannyasa, he has given the karma tyaga itself. In moksha marga, he has itself given karma tyaga. In both the margas, what really is to be given up is this sense of doership. Actually, the kartritva tyaga is the tyaga which is to be done with the both the margas. So initially we say in the karma marga, karma yoga marga, we have to give up the insistence on a particular result, that this only result should come. More equal only should come, not less opposite. So that insistence is there because I have a feeling that this karma phala is going to bring the basic change in me, what I desire. The fundamental problem I try to change with the karma phala, that I have already analyzed, and I have seen that this is not going to change my basic fundamental problem. Therefore, insistence on a particular result, you grow out of that insistence. And that is why karma phala tyaga does not mean that you don't want phala, because you will do karma because you want phala. But that insistence that this phala only should come to me is given up. That is why it is said that nivritti only is implied through both the margas, once the karma yoga and karma marga. So, and then you further ask, so, or only start after he has completed his worldly responsibilities. See, all responsibilities you are taking up, all the roles, for what sake? That you have to decide. All the roles what one takes up is for the sake of playing a role to reach an ultimate destination, which is yourself. I won't term it as sannyasa, this or that ashrama. So brahmacharya ashrama, grihastha ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama, sannyasa ashrama, these are stages of life for emotional maturity and for really dealing with your mind through that ashrama, what is needed ultimately to reach yourself. So brahmacharya ashrama, you do the certain things, and then grihastha ashrama. Therefore, responsibilities, worldly responsibilities are never completed. It is only up to your goal and end that you have to decide what is needed now. You have to decide at the particular point of time what is needed now. It is not that. So it is not that you have to give up and go away from the world. Remaining in the world, still you can prioritize your seeking. You're seeking knowledge. For that priority, you are seeking what you are doing more. That you can change. You can study Gita more. You can have more Shravana. You can just make use of the time that way. And that there's a shift in. So therefore, it is not giving up anything. So tyaga is not there that you have to just leave everything and go away. That is also a possibility. If you can do that, that is also welcome. But here what is talked of is kartritva tyaga, kartritva sannyasa is what the sense of doership is to be given up. That is the real understanding of all the Vedanta. Anybody wants to add on to what I have said?
Swamiji, should I speak?
Yes, yes.
Nivritti marga, because sannyasi gives up a karma, so he doesn't accrue any punya or papa. And karma yogi, by virtue of doing, because every action will lead to punya or papa, so he'll have a karma phalas because of that. So once he does kartatva tyaga, and he stops getting punya and papa for his actions, and ultimately with prasadam buddhi, you accept whatever it is and you you give all your actions, devote all your actions to Ishvara, and you reach a stage what is called the akarmanya or Gyan Sannyasa or Karma Sannyasi. Karma Sannyasi is one who has given up his karma phalas and for Antakarana Shuddhi. That is a stage of nivritti only. That is there. Oh, and as you rest of things you have explained so beautifully, sir.
Anu?
हाँ, जो ज्ञानी है तो वो निवृत्ति मार्ग का इसलिए क्योंकि उसका तो पर्सनल कुछ रहा ही नहीं ना, अब उसके संचित कर्म खत्म है, उसके कोई आगामी कर्म नहीं है, तो ऑब्वियसली जब डूअरशिप ही नहीं है तो फिर वो प्रवृत्ति मार्ग में रहेगा कैसे? तो इवन if the ज्ञानी is even a householder like Raja Janak is a ज्ञानी, but
no, he is an exception. See, ज्ञानी कहीं भी हो सकता है. Marga is the kind of a lifestyle. The Vedas are prescribing two lifestyles.
I'm explaining this. She said, but in his explanation on Vivek Chudamani, Swamiji has said that for a Jnani, a knower, there is only one marg, Nivritti. So a Jnani, the one who is a knower, वो automatically Nivritti के मार्ग पे ही है, क्योंकि अब तो वो जान गया है सब कुछ. उसके बाद उसकी body क्या roles play कर रही है, उसको उससे कोई मतलब नहीं रहा.
That is right.
उसको कोई मतलब नहीं रहा. That's what I meant. I was
कर्तृत्व का त्याग कर दिया है ना, निवृत्ति क्या?
उस मतलब वो तो है ही नहीं ना वहाँ, वो करता है ही नहीं वहाँ पे अब. तो ऑटोमेटिकली निवृत्ति मार्ग पे तो रह गया ना फिर. वो जो ज्ञानी है वो प्रवृत्ति मार्ग का निवृत्ति मार्ग so technically he's on nivritti only. It doesn't matter what else is happening. That is the only part.
He will be called only pravritti margi because he is in the householder job and all those things.
Yeah, so that isn't what she's written, but in his explanation, she was trying to reconcile this, that why did Swamiji say in his Vivek Chudamani talk that for a jnani and knower there is only one marg. So once he is a jnani, he's no longer, this is not somebody who is seeking ज्ञान, वो उसके लिए प्रवृत्ति मार्ग या निवृत्ति मार्ग दो मार्ग हैं. जो ज्ञानी हो गया अब तो वो ज्ञानी है. तो अब
वो तो है
बस भाई, तो वो मैं उसको शारदा के लिए रिकंसाइल कर रही थी कि इसमें कुछ अटपटा नहीं है.
You got it, Sharda?
I got it when I understand it from the karma phala tyaga, because I realize that if you're a householder and you are a jnani, you are not necessarily a nivritti marg wala, but if you've given up karma phala, you've given up the kartritva or the doership, then in one sense, like what Anu says, you have reached that stage of nivritti. That's
See, karma phala tyaga, Sharda, 1 minute, hold on. Karma phala tyaga is one thing, kartritva tyaga is another thing. Kartritva tyaga, both the margas are really pursuing kartritva tyaga. The sense of doership has to be dropped.
But once you do kartritva tyaga, it automatically you will get karma phala tyaga also, no?
No. Then there is no doer left. There is where is the who's karma phala? Karma phala and all those.
Only
there are
connected to a doer.
Yeah. So, but Pravritti Marga begins with this Ved Buddhi only because Ishvara is there, Jiva is there, Ishvara is Karma Phala Data, Ishvara is Karma Adhyaksha, and Ishvara is giving the results of actions. And therefore, whatever actions the Mumukshu is doing for the sake of moksha, so he is not insisting on the result, therefore that is the Karma Phala Tyaga is talked. Karma Phala is not literally giving up the result of action, but the sense of insistence into a particular result is given up. Anyway, anybody wants to add? Otherwise, we go to the next question. Should we go?
Ji.
If anyone, number 7, if anyone who does not believe in the Vedas or Advaita is an Astika, Vedas itself, not Advaita, Vedas. If anyone who does not believe in the Vedas means Veda is not a pramana, so is an Astika, then there are Bhakti Margis, then are the Bhakti Margis all Nastika? Even though for them God is an outward separate entity to whom one has to surrender. See, Sharada, this is a very basic definition which Vedas are saying. Whether you believe in Veda or not, that is the definition through which Astika and Nastika is saying. We are not talking about the personal God here. Because whether you believe in Ishvara or not, that is also, if you are a Buddha, Ishvara, if you don't have, even if you have a personal God, you are an Astika. So that is not the point. Point is There are the system of epistemology. You know, Shabda Pramana, I told in the classes, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Arthapatti, Anupalapti, Anumiti, and Shabda. So in these Pramanas, every system, 6 school of system or 12 schools of system, they follow this Pramana, Vedikas. So whether you believe in Veda or not, with that definition, you are termed as Astika or Nastika. That much alone is said in the Gita Home Study.
Okay. What if one is believes in the Veda and yet does not have the like Shankara after all did say Bhaja Govindam also for those who don't want to go into the depths of Gyan Marga and understand all the intricacies that are mentioned in the Vedas. For them, he says, you just simply bhajo the name of Govinda and you will.
No, it is not like that, Shahada.
Achha.
Vedas has everything. Karma Kanda is the first portion of the Vedas. Jnana Kanda is the last portion of the Vedas. Karma Kanda, Karma and Upasana constitute the first portion of the Vedas.
गीता में भक्ति भी आती है तो
भी का मतलब क्या है? भक्ति के बगैर कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता. Bhakti is an attitude. Listen, this you have, no, don't agree with me. Try to listen what I am trying to say. Bhakti is an attitude.
That I accept, Swamiji. I'm not doubting that. I'm saying, is it okay to say that if you do not believe that the Vedas are a pramana, and for me, there are lots of people who say, for me, Krishna is all. I mean, only the figure of Krishna dancing with Radha in Vrindavan is God. And as long as I keep saying his name, I don't need to read anything more than that. I have reached moksha.
Why should we discuss this? Actually, see, the point is what people are wanting through themselves, for themselves, what is good for them, that way we have to look. Why should we really discuss why?
Outside of our syllabus, I agree.
No, but it is syllabus or no syllabus. Veda constitute everything. You should not think Bhakti. I am trying to say this again and again. When you say 2 margas are there, Gyan, Lokes, 3rd chapter, Lokes Vinduvidha Nishtha, Pura Prokta Mayanaga, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. So very clearly, Gita says there are 2 paths, 2 margas. Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Sannyasinam. Karma Yogena Yoginam, Karminam. So these 2 margas, when you word yoga comes with Jnana, yoga brings in Ishvara. Without Ishvara, without Karma Yoga is not possible. Because Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, without Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, Karma Yoga is not possible. Without Dharma, Dharma is equal to Ishvara, Karma Yoga is not possible. So this attitude, this harmony with Ishvara, Ishvara is this commitment. This yoga is the commitment, this love, this bhakti. Bhakti is the love towards the marga. Jnana, towards the jnana is the bhakti, commitment. The understanding of the Vedas is love towards the Vedas. That is bhakti. Both are bhakti. Without the bhakti, nothing is there. So therefore, don't say bhakti is separate marga.
Okay, no, that I stand corrected, Swamiji. But if someone says, I don't need a guru, I have to experience it on my own. I cannot be shown, or somebody cannot teach me to understand Vedanta.
So one has to understand, one has to go to the nature, as I said initially in the beginning of the class, nature of the problem has to determine. According to the nature of the problem, the nature of the solution has to be assessed. So nature of the problem is, here I am ignorant of the self, and therefore through that self, Shabda Pramana is required, that the Shabda Pramana, the whole Vedas are analyzing this problem. And therefore, Guru becomes very essential in this sense of the term, that he has to really, this Sampradaya, the Vedanta Sampradaya, this whole understanding has to come in the mind to really do away with the ignorance. That you have seen in the Bhagavad Gita home study. The whole thing is very elaborately dealt with here. There. Why Guru is need of a Guru in that topic it comes. So you go through again and then that will be it. Anybody wants to say anything on this?
Swami, should I say?
Yes.
See, in Sampradaya, there's a methodology involved. And the Shabda Pramana is unfolded systematically in stages. And that's important. That is one part. And second part is, if someone says that if he or she reads Bhagavad Gita only and he or she will get jnana all alone, that's also possible, but more or less is a little impractical because messages are very cryptic, and you need to know most of the Upanishads. As for example, whenever I have a problem, I talk to Swamiji, and he knows all Upanishads also. So the supporting text also one should know, like reading Tattva or other Upanishads which tell you about Brahman. Then only you can understand Bhagavad Gita completely. That's why you need a helping hand. Guru is like a GPRS now. He has traversed that path many times, and if you're doing it alone, there's always a chance of falling wayside or losing your path, losing your way. That's why there's some mentor is needed to solve some problems, or where you don't understand, to clarify your thoughts.
It is not only the mentor.
In fact, Swamiji, I personally believe that without the help of a guru, someone who tells you what are the parallel books to refer to and how to improve your study, you can never really do full study of any of these texts. You do need a guru.
Yeah, I think it is not only the mentor, as Rajiv is saying, or you are saying, as the help. In fact, Guru is a very essential into the path of Vedanta, because Vedanta is a sampradaya which has to be unfolded. The methodologies of handling of the words, because thou art that, has to be really unfolded in terms of seeing. You have to see that statement, the truth of the statement. It is not just intellectual understanding of certain thoughts which are given in the Upanishad.
Yeah, Swamiji, the words are there for everyone to read, but then without understanding or without a guru, they're all dead, no? The Pramana doesn't work without a guru. Otherwise, Shabd is there for everyone to see, for everyone to understand. That's why there's a guru, Shishya Parampara, or Sampradayas to teach the methodology of Vedanta.
Methodology of Vedanta, and definitely the whole Vedic system, which is starting from Upanishads. Vyasa is not the one who created this. So it is Sadashiva Samarambham, as we chant the first prayer mantra. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. So that is why we, at the outset, we really pray to the whole Guru Parampara, because this knowledge is flowing. Because who is the first Guru? When we ask that Gita Home Study, you have already said that God is the first Guru. Adi Guru is Shiva, and Shiva in the form of Dakshinamurti. Therefore, we say Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurte Nama. This also mantra, shloka we chant. Why all we are doing this? Because you see, this problem is something like that, as Rajiv put it, that something you have not studied the whole thing. The Guru is studied from his teacher, and he is conveying because he has the whole vision. The one who has seen the elephant only can really explain what the elephant is. Not the 6 blind men of India story which goes, You will interpret a particular thing in your own way. A sentence you will read and you will interpret according to the notions of your mind. Then therefore, just reading is not helping. Therefore, one has to have a discussion. That is why instead of writing answers to you, I thought it is better to have discussion. Anybody wants to say anything? Come in.
So I have a small analogy here. I consider the whole path to be an electric circuit, and at the end of the electric circuit there's a bulb, and there are circuit breakers in between, which are basically ignorances or incomplete understanding of the things. So unless each circuit breaker is overcome, the current will not flow to the lamp or to the bulb or lighten it. So Guru helps one to get over these circuit breakers. So the whole circuit gets completed because he has his circuit completed. So this is how Guru helps a student.
Yeah, it is a lot of help is there, and mainly is Pramana. Pramana is Vedanta. Pramana is there. How it works, that is the whole teaching which one has to understand, and the efficacy of the Guru will come in. Okay, next question. If anybody wants to say something, otherwise we go to the next. Would Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya correspond with Pravritti and Nivritti Marga? See, Yoga Shastra, Brahma Vidya is the main thing. Yoga Shastra is the ways and means to gain that Brahma Vidya. Therefore, after every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you say, Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. Both the words are used. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambhade. If it is a 15th chapter, Purushottama Yogo Nama Panchadashodhyayah. So both Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. So this whole thing, Yoga Shastra is the ways and means to gain that Brahma Vidya. So you can say yes, Pravritti Marga, but whatever the ways and means, and Brahma Vidya is the main thing, which is both the margas. Through that you are gaining that Brahma Vidya. Nivritti Marga, Pravritti Marga. Pravritti Marga is Yoga Shastra, Nivritti Marga is Sannyasa Marga. Okay, Brahma Vidya is the main thing which you are trying to.
So a sannyasi doesn't need to do Yoga Shastra. He's because
Actually,
he's already sampan in Brahma Vidya, he has understood Yoga Shastra also.
No, if he has not gone through the Yoga Shastra, means Yoga Shastra is ways and means to really gain the Antakaran Shuddhi. He already has that Antakaran Shuddhi, then it is okay. If he does not, while sannyasi can do some other certain things in Yoga Shastra, like service to his teacher, Guru, ashram, seva, Gau Seva, other Sevas, all other Sevas which are not for the householders, which are there for Japa, Tapa, that kind of a yoga, that kind of a thing he can do. Sannyasi also can do that Yoga Shastra in the sense of making the mind ready, means for making the mind ready. For a Nivritti Margi sannyasi, it depends upon the stages where he's in, and then according to that, it will be decided. Good question. Okay. Anybody, Anu, you want to say something?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anybody wants to say? We'll go further. How to find the right guru in today's age? Today's age or any age, guru and the vidya remains the same. The methodology remains the same. So for me, I would say that so the Upanishad only is saying in Mundaka Upanishad, Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmano Nirvedam Ayat Nasti Akrita Kritena Tad Vijnanartam Sa Gurum Eva Abhigachet Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. This is a very important Mundaka Upanishad. He is saying how to approach a guru. Why should you approach a guru? First, Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmana. Oh, mature mind. Brahmana here means a mature mind, a sadhaka, a mumukshu. He has examined Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan, the karma, the results of the actions. He has already examined. Sukha Dukkha is examined. Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmana Nirvedam Ayat, and he has gone Vairagya from those karma phalas. And why he has gone Vairagya? Because he has understood Nasti Akrita Kritena. Moksha Akrita Moksha cannot be gained by any in terms of doing action. Akrita Moksha, that which is not created by action, that is Akrita Moksha, is not gained by action. Then what is the solution? Because by doing you cannot gain it. You have already understood that it is not by doing. I said Tad Vijnanartam. To know that, you have to approach Tad Vijnanartam Sa Gurum Eva Abhigachet. Hello? Who is speaking? You mute.
I'm just checking.
Hello?
I'm just checking. Give me a minute.
So Tad Vijnanartam Sa Gurum Eva Abhigachet. उसको जानने के लिए उस ब्राह्मण को, उस मैच्योर माइंड को, उस मुमुक्षु को, गुरु को ही अप्रोच करना चाहिए. कैसे अप्रोच करना चाहिए? उपनिषद कहता है समित पाणी ही. Samit Pani means with the Samhita in his hand, he should be Samit Pani. This person is this Bahuvri Samasa. With an attitude of surrender and bhakti. Whatever the Guru needs, he has to approach that teacher with whatever he needs, means he has to serve the Guru. With that kind of an attitude, he has to approach the Guru. And what kind of a Guru? He says, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. Shrotriya is the one who has done the Shravana of the Vedanta Sampradaya, the Vedanta Prasthanatrayi, the one who has really listened to the methodology, the Sampradaya, the understanding. Because of and Brahmanishtam, who is established, who is really sitting in that Vidya. So this is the really Upanishad, Veda, Upanishad is saying that, and that is the Pramana, and that is what we follow to find any Guru. Because somehow or the other, it is very difficult to first assess this, because how do you know how to find it? So somehow it is your grace and luck and your prarabdha karma also. What kind of a teacher comes in your life? What kind of a people come in your life? What kind of a teaching comes in your life? What kind of a books you read? Somehow it is all you are taken. Because prarabdha karma also decides that way, and therefore you approach. But you have to make right choices when certain things unfold in your life. And that is why we say that you have to follow the Shastra, the teaching, the teachers who are really adept in this teaching. And therefore, once you do satsanga, so binu satsanga vivek nahi. This vivek will come only through satsanga. What is the way of choosing a guru? Once this viveka is, this discrimination comes, you will be led to the right teacher. That inner wanting is to be very, very deep. Then you will get it, the right teacher. Anybody wants to say anything? It's a big topic.
So you said enough. You said that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So it's a prarabdha karma and that desire, the burning desire you have for jnana, that's the most important thing.
चले आगे चलें क्या? Nobody else has to say anything. Can we also briefly discuss sadhya and siddha vishaya to clarify? Would facts like gravity, etc., be the latter? Latter means the siddha vishaya, and learning to cook, drive, etc., be the former sadhya vishaya. Yes. So that which is siddha vishaya, gravity is a siddha vishaya, and cook. So siddha vishaya is that which is already there. You don't have to gain it. It is already gained. Siddha vastu. That is what the siddha vastu is. Sadhya vastu is you have to approach it through karma, through gain it through karma. Sadhya and siddha.
But Swamiji, siddha vastu can also be sadhya vastu for a person who is ignorant, no?
But still sadhya vastu is there, gaya vastu is there, it is. But ultimately he has to understand it was already gained. So this is sadhya vastu is away in time and space. Siddha vastu is not away in time and space. Siddha vastu is timeless, spaceless.
Right.
But sadhya vastu is away in time and place.
Away in time and place.
So over?
Looks like
time भी पूरा over, 12:30 हो रहे हैं. Okay.
Ji.
What, anybody wants to add something, subtract something? Comments?
We just want to listen to you.
Listen to?
You, Swamiji.
Okay. Now you please, Sonia Walia, you want to say something?
Sonia, you're mute. You'll have to unmute yourself, please. Huh?
No, I'm so new. I'm just learning everything and loving what just understanding and imbibing everything that Guruji is saying.
Rajinder Ambardar. Namaste.
That is Shobha's sister, Swamiji.
Who?
जो राजेंद्र अंबरदार है वो शोभा की सिस्टर है.
शक्ल मिलती है थोड़ी बहुत. शोभा कहाँ गायब हो गई?
शोभा है. वीडियो इज नॉट
शोभा अगर सुन रही हो तो माइक ऑन करो, पकड़ी जाओगी नहीं. अगर सुन रही है तो माइक ऑन.
Namaskar. It was pleasure to listen to such a beautiful session. Thank you so much.
Good. Shobha?
जी.
क्या बोलो?
Next session कब है स्वामी जी?
जब अन्नू decide करेगी.
Actually, we want more of Swamiji's sessions now, because now I think after Sharda putting so many questions of which were also in my mind, so I think I would love to hear Swamiji more often.
I would suggest you
स्वामी जी
स्वामी जी,
स्वामी जी, आप म्यूट हो गए.
keep posting questions onto the web, onto the WhatsApp group itself, and there and then you can discuss by writing. Now and then we can have Zoom sessions, but questions should come up often, because
Yeah.
without the questions the clarity will not come. It is not an easy topic. Context of the Bhagavad Gita, when now it starts, it is whole revelation of dharma, very methodically Swamiji is doing. It's amazing portion to understand dharma, and therefore study it again and again. I might have studied this introduction and context of Bhagavad Gita hundreds of times, because every time you study, and because so much is hidden into it, this introduction, I say, if you understand this introduction, you can really get it. You know, Rolika is there.
Hanji. Hanji,
Yeah.
Swamiji.
So your attendance is complete now. So you also post questions whenever is there.
Hanji. Bilkul.
Achha. Payal Agarwal is not there.
No, she's there. उसके grandchildren होते हैं, तो she keeps it on mute so that बच्चों की आवाज से बाकियों को disturbance नहीं हो.
Okay. Chalo, we end the session with Shanti Pata, or anybody wants to say anything?
स्वामी जी मैं तो कहूँगा आनंद आ गया.
अच्छा है ना ऐसे सेशंस. ये अनु को धन्यवाद देना चाहिए.
हाँ अपनी धन्यवाद.
मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है.
लेकिन बहुत आनंददायी था. मुझे बहुत very blissful, very happy with the session. मजा आ गया.
बिल्कुल बहुत मजा आया, बहुत क्लैरिटी भी मिली.
Thank you, Anu, also, because Anu, ever since you've started us off on this and you've been posting every day, for me, I think I've read the introduction itself ever since I got my books almost 5 times over. And I still don't, I mean, what Swamiji says and Sharda's questions bring probably 1/100th of understanding into me at the moment. As a total beginner who's picked up the Bhagavad Gita study, home study for the first time. You may have read it, you may have read the Hari Gita, but you've never done it so much in depth. So this is like, it's like every day you read it and then you reread it and a new line shows up, which you understand so much better. And then when you understand it, then you realize, oh yeah, this applies to you so well in life. And everything applies to you. And each day a new one opens up for you. And probably you pick it up from that page, and that particular page, if you've left it like, at page 23, that particular page will probably have that page thing right there for you. It's so amazing. It's just so amazing. And right now we are just at the introduction.
I call it the synchronicity of life. Whatever we need keeps getting provided. We just have to be receptive to it.
Yes. Thank you, Swamiji, and thank you.
Everybody wanted me to take Zoom classes, weekly classes. I said to Anu, weekly classes don't help. Every day you should study. Every day you should post. Every day you should have question answers. And therefore, after every session of posting, you should be studying it properly and have right understanding through questioning. Not necessarily you must question. If it's clear, don't have to. But if it is clear, also you can write your understanding there and then, that this is what I understand. So if there is any gap in it, anybody in the group who's knowledgeable, who can answer those things, can answer. It's not only that I only have to answer. Anu can answer, Rajiv can answer, Sharda can answer. All people, Shobha is now studying very well. Shobha can answer. Anybody can say, step in and take the role of a teacher. I'm very happy that this work is going on, and then please be committed to this learning. This will be a blessing. Thank you very much. I end with the Shanti Pata.
We can meet every Sunday, Swamiji, for a Zoom session, or every 15 days.
That Anu will decide anytime.
Let's let it happen organically like it happened this time. Let's not.
Yeah. But Sunday is a good day to have it. I think that morning sessions, they really rejuvenate you for the whole week,
Sunday morning is good.
Yeah.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम Thank you very much everyone.
I'm stopping the recording.
Yeah.